Hey everybody, thanks for being here today. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through how to load your dishwasher. We're going to walk through cleaning your kitchen sink. And we're also going to have a little bit of an advanced topic on using a tea kettle to pour boiling water down your drains. That's a little advanced, but I've got that as part as my routine, and I wanted just to let you know that it's benefited me. Okay, so loading the dishwasher, cleaning the sink, those are going to be our two big priorities here today. Okay, so this is what it's going to be about. So, what do you need? Well, obviously, you need a sink and a dishwasher. If you don't have a sink and if you don't have a dishwasher, then this video is probably not for you. But if you do have those two things, then I want to make this crystal clear, guys. The only thing you need to complete this task is some sort of dishwasher detergent. I personally use the pods. I mean, I'm not saying you can't use the gel. I'm not saying you can't use the powder. I use the pods. But push the dishwasher aside. In order to clean your sink and in order to clean your counter, you only need two things: dish soap and a sponge. Okay? In order to clean your sink and in order to clean your counters, you only need two things: dish soap and a sponge. You do not need anything beyond that. If you're just talking about just getting it clean, you don't need any exotic setup. You don't need an arsenal of items. Now, obviously, there's a couple of things you can have in addition to that, like some rags to dry up and so on and so forth. But ultimately, what I want you guys to walk away with from today's video and today's lesson is that you only need dish soap and a sponge in order to get 85% of this task complete. And I also want to let you guys know that if you haven't done this before, or if maybe your mobility is challenged or your stamina is challenged, I just want to let you know that I've been there. I understand wholeheartedly. I understand completely. I just want to let you know that you might not be able to complete this 360 today, but if you keep pushing yourself and if you keep applying yourself, eventually you will get there to the point where you can do this. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So, first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start by loading the dishwasher. And so I'm going to start by loading the dishwasher. So let me start getting some of this pulled away over here, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So, you're probably going to ask yourself, saying, okay, why do we need to load the dishwasher? Why do we need to load? Why do we need to clean the sink? Why is all this necessary? It's probably going to be the first question. So, cleaning your sink and cleaning your dishes is a lot like taking a shower, taking a bath yourself. A lot of it just comes down to if you've used something, you want to be able to use it again in the future, and you want it to be clean and tidy and usable so that when the time comes again, you're not scrambling saying, I don't have clean plates, I don't have clean cups, my sink has got bugs crawling all over it. I don't have. I'm trying to bring some friends over, and my house looks like a catastrophe. So, a lot of that is going to really come down to a lot of this task and this process is going to come down to just preventative cleaning. That's really what this whole process is. This is all just about preventative maintenance and daily maintenance so that when the time comes, you're able to perform this efficiently and accurately. Now, like I said, if this is your first time doing it, it's cool. It's all good. Nothing to worry about. So what I'm doing is I got the water running and I got my dirty dishes here. What I'm simply going to do is I'm just going to run them under some water. And I've got a dirty fork here. And I'm just going to start scraping off the food. I'm just going to start scraping off the food. That's all I'm doing. I'm just scraping it off. And so in the name of that, let's actually get some of this out the way. So that way you guys can get a kind of figure that stuff might get in the way, but you don't know until you actually start the process, right? So this is going to be a live take, guys. I don't want you to think that oh, I'm going to do some super editing or, I've been rendering this video. Not at all. I want you guys to see what this task looks like in action in real time so that you can kind of understand what it looks like. Because I know for me in my situation, one of the biggest roadblocks and one of the biggest hurdles I always had to deal with was I didn't know how it was supposed to look. I didn't know how it was supposed to be. And what I'm saying is something like that. When I'm saying I don't know how it's supposed to look, I don't know how it's supposed to be, what I'm getting at is I never really had anyone to show me how certain things are supposed to be done. And by not seeing it done, I didn't know if I was doing it right or wrong. So, that's something also to keep in mind as well while we're doing this process. Is I want you guys to see what this looks like in real time in action. So then that way you guys can, number one, see what it's supposed to look like. Number two, you guys are able to start imitating it, emulating it, integrating it. And then number three, you guys can go back and say, wait a minute, how did he do that part? So hopefully by doing this whole thing in real time is going to be beneficial for you guys. I don't want to do any edits with these really. I really want these to be like as raw as possible. Well, raw in the context of, I got the counter cleared and, I got my hair done, right? All right. So anyway, so I've had the water running on here. So I'm just going to go ahead and just start scraping this off. I'm just scraping this off. Now there's going to be some food residue on the plate. That's okay. The dishwasher is going to get this off. So what I'm doing now is I'm opening up my dishwasher. You can't see it. It's out of frame, but you're going to have to just take my word for it. And I'm pulling out the tray. So what I'm doing now is, I'm just going to go ahead and just take this, and I've just put it in the dishwasher. Now the way I do the dishwasher is I like to kind of separate them. I like to separate everything so that there's space between everything, so that the water and the soap can flush around it, so that it can start cleaning it. All right, I got a plastic bowl here. Throw it in. If you've got a movable wand, that's great. If not, that's okay too. If you've got a static faucet, you just got to kind of move the bowl around. Now, if we're talking about doing dishes by hand with a sponge, that's a whole separate video. But just for you guys in your situation, I just want to show you guys what this looks like in action. So now I'm rinsing off the bottom, rinsing off the sides, rinsing off the cracks, rinsing off the crevices, just getting everything off. So there you go. So now I've got a plastic bowl. I'm going to put that in. All right, I got a cup, pretty easy. You just go ahead and just get that part rinsed out. Nothing too horrible here. Just rinsing out the cup. That's all it is. Because, here's the thing about it, right? So when you're doing something like this, you've got to ask yourself, what value am I getting out of this? Why am I doing this? How is this enhancing my life? How is this making my experience easier or better? I think that's the biggest question you've got to ask yourself anytime you're doing anything like this. And for the longest time, I didn't have that answer for something like this. I didn't see the value in have sure there's clean dishes. I didn't see the value in cleaning out the sink. But once I realized that, number one, I could do this and I could do this consistently, that started giving me a little bit more motivation, or at least a little bit more leeway to keep exploring, to say, okay, if I am able to do this, maybe I can start finding the answer. I can start finding the reason to do this consistently. But like I said, ultimately with any of these situations, you've got to find a reason to keep doing it, and it's got to be your reason. It can't be my reason. It can't be your buddy's reason. It can't be your girlfriend's reason. It can't be your parents' reason. It can't be your grandma's reason. And if you don't got a girlfriend, that's okay too. If you've got a boyfriend, that's fine. Your significant other, whoever that person may be, it can't be a family member, it can't be a friend, it can't be your significant other, it can't be a classmate, it can't be a colleague. Ultimately, these reasons got to come from you. You got to find a reason to clean your environment. You got to find a reason to sit there and say, okay, I don't want my kitchen to be a catastrophe. Or you know what? That garbage has been sitting there for a while. How about I get that taken out? You got to find that reason on your own. I can't give that to you. And if anyone tries to give it to you, it's because they're trying to manipulate you. Just pure and just plain. If anyone's giving you the exact reason to perform a task like this, we're not talking about work. We're talking about your own life. If anyone's giving you a reason to perform a task like this, they're trying to manipulate you. Now, with that being said, you could have some roommates, and they could say, hey, man, you're always leaving your dishes laying around. Or, hey, man, you ain't picking up after yourself. Why don't you start doing that? You got to integrate that answer. If that's the answer you come up with, that's fine, but you got to integrate that. You can't just say, oh, well, they told me. No, it turns into, well, they told me because I didn't know. And now that they have told me, I've thought about it. And now that I'm thinking about it, you know what? They're right. I need to stop being a pig. I need to stop being a lazy sack of crap. I need to start picking up after myself. I need to start contributing to this journey of having a roommate. Or living with anybody. It doesn't matter if you're living with your brother, living with your sister, living with your friends, living with your cousin, living with your aunt. I've lived with aunts. I've lived with roommates. It's all different facets to the journey, but the point is that you got to find a reason to perform the task. And if part of that reason is to say, hey, I want to make sure when they walk in the kitchen, they're not seeing any of my mess laying around. Or, hey, they've actually got mobility challenges, so I'm going to help us both out by getting this task done. Like I said, ultimately, you've got to find that reason. You've got to find that reason. All right, cool. So, as you can see, I've been talking and working the whole time. Now we've actually got the sink cleared off. We've got the sink cleared off. So this is the first side of the equation, is just getting the dishes in the dishwasher. Okay, this is the first side of that equation. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my pod, and I probably put that away. That's fine. Got them underneath the sink here. Alrighty. I'm going to take my pod, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add this to the dishwasher, start it up, and then there we go. Now I've completed that task. So what we're going to do now for the next video is we're going to start working on cleaning up the sink, and we're going to walk through that. And so I will see you guys for the next video. Take care.